Hi everybody, Stuart A. Swerdlow here.
And Janet Diane Moria Swerdlow.
And this is the Expansions News Podcast for the very beginning of the second week of July 2018. And happy anniversary.
Thank you.
We've been married for 117 years. And of course we've taken several different human bodies during that time. But we're almost time to get the new ones.
Possibly.
Yeah, even though they said mine is like 25 years old anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not giving it back to that guy. I'm keeping it. Mm-hmm. Anyway, it's finally the heat wave is over here in the Great Lakes area, and that was our summer.
Oh, maybe it will get warm again.
Well, it doesn't look that way.
No?
No. So usually we have 3-4 days, and that's summer, and that's it. Anyway, now to some serious news. And this particular story I cannot verify, because there are those who say it's not true, some who say it is true, but it was on Fox News. So you can take it, you know that they're very big on Trump and the Republicans and very negative against Obama and Democrats. But anyway, according to Fox News, the Obama administration granted citizenship to approximately 2,500 Iranians, including family members of politicians and other VIPs, during the negotiations leading to the Iranian nuclear agreement. And this was a quote by Fox News from a senior cleric inside the Islamic Republic of Iran. And he did this as a favor to senior Iranian officials who were linked to President Rouhani. Now, according to this information, the move sparked a competition among Iranian officials over whose children would benefit from the scheme. And again, according to Fox News, if today these Iranians get deported from America, it will be clear who is complicit and sells the national interest like he is selling candies to America. I don't know who that refers to, but who knows what that means. So that was, I think, an interesting story. I would not put it past Obama for doing such a thing. And along the same lines, according to Bavarian intelligence agency, which I didn't know that Bavaria, which is a state of Germany, would have its own intelligence agency, but I guess they do.
I think that all countries do in some degree or
no,
another.
But this is a state within a country. Why would a state have its own intelligence agency? Anyway, according to Bavarian intelligence, it said Iran, North Korea, Syria, and Pakistan, all my favorite countries, are making efforts to expand their conventional weapons arsenal through the production of weapons of mass destruction. Well, that's really not, stop the press. Mm. And according to this report, as the illegal propagation of atomic, biological, and chemical weapons and the production of their applicable products, the new evidence from Bavarian intelligence will provide new ammunition for critics of the Iran nuclear deal's failure to curb Iran's desire to build a nuclear weapon. Now, German Chancellor Angela Merkel remains a strong proponent of the Iran nuclear deal, which she thinks will stop Iran from obtaining nuclear weapons. But the findings of the Bavarian intelligence service contradicts her views of the effectiveness of what they call the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, which is the formal name of the nuclear deal. Now, this just last month in June, the intelligence agency of the German state of Baden-Württemberg also wrote a report. I guess Germany each state has their own intelligence. That's quite interesting and probably very confusing. And they said Iran continued to undertake, as did Pakistan and Syria, efforts to obtain goods and know-how to be used for the development of weapons of mass destruction and to optimize corresponding missile delivery systems. German intelligence agencies documented Iranian regime efforts in 2017 to purchase illegal material and technology from German companies. So maybe there's an overall German intelligence agency, and then they break it down by state for some reason. Can you imagine if the United States had 50 intelligence agencies under the one? Impossible. Anyway, my opinion on this story is that Israel and the Persian Gulf states will not allow this to ever happen. And also read a report recently that Israel is planning to attack Iran, but we've heard that for many years. Now, on to related news, which I found this very interesting. The Kremlin says that Trump and Putin could meet without their aides in Helsinki. As a GOP senator visiting Moscow says, there could be a new day in U.S.-Russia relations. Well, I seriously hope so. It says that Trump and Putin are set to meet in Helsinki this month, July. Putin feels comfortable in all formats, says his spokesperson, although I did read a report that said we can discuss anything except Crimea. And then the news in Moscow said that the pair would meet in private without any aides present. Well, that's like two little bad boys going in the playroom without mommy and daddy watching them. I don't know if that's such a good idea. And it goes on to say, such a format would mean that there'd be no note-takers to create an official record of what is said. I guarantee there'll be listening devices. Nor would there be senior aides who might steer the conversation toward or away key topics. Listen, they already know what they're going to talk about. They already decided it. This is for show. And it said, and the Russians said, we come here realizing that we have a strained relationship, but we could have a better relationship between the U.S. and Russia because we have some common interests around the world that would hopefully work together on. He also said, we could be competitors. We are competitors, but we don't necessarily need to be adversaries. I agree with that. And finally, they said, we will have to wait and see and go from there. But we recognize that the world is better off, I believe, if Russia and the United States have fewer tensions. I absolutely agree, and I hope it happens, and I hope the relations are repaired. And I would like to also see, as the result, visa-free travel and business opportunities, which was so possible towards the end of the Obama administration, and then Obama screwed it up and condemned Russia for everything, and that's when everything fell apart. So we can thank Mr. Obama for that crap too.
We have to remember that Trump has a lot of business interests already in Russia, and so does his family.
I think it's in everyone's best interest that this meeting take place and good results come from it.
Listen to me. As you said, it's already planned. It's just for public show. It's already been decided. Mm-hmm. So
now, continuing with Russia, something very important is happening there, because President Vladimir Putin plans to meet with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu next week, and will also meet the Emir of Qatar when they travel to Moscow to see a World Cup match, because Russia is currently hosting the Soccer World Cup, which ends July 15th. According to Netanyahu's office, he will meet with Putin in Moscow on July 11. Now, it's not an accident that Trump is going there, that Netanyahu's going there, that the Emir of Qatar is going there. This isn't just like, oh, what a surprise. They didn't just ring the doorbell, okay?
And there was also some kind of a UFO thing over the World Cup.
Well, most likely an agreement will be worked out with Israel and Qatar involving Iran and Syria. There's a reason Russia is so friendly with Iran and Syria. It's not because they like them. It's because Russia would love for Iran and Syria to become involved in their new federation, new Soviet Union, and become a new Soviet Republic. Now, this is a story which I found very, very interesting, and it's like, aha, I thought so. You know, I always say that to the north of us, Prime Minister Trudeau is blank blank, yes? Well, responding to allegations that he groped a female news reporter, Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau said he can't remember the incident. Well, maybe if he stopped doing headstands on the tables in Parliament, he would have some brain cells available to use. Mr. Trudeau, a self-described feminist, Yes, remember when he and his whole family went to India dressed up like ancient Indians and walked around like idiots, and then none of the government would speak to them?
No, I don't.
This is the Prime
that.
Minister of Canada, who, by the way, is the illegitimate son of Fidel Castro, despite what they said. And he said he could not remember any negative interactions while at a charity festival in 2000, where a young female journalist claims he groped her. He says, I had a good day that day. Yes, I'm sure he did, groping female reporters in Canada. I don't remember any negative interactions at all that day. Yeah, it must have felt very good for him. And this is what he told reporters in Regina. Anyway, he was the first accused of sexual harassment in 2000 in an unsigned newspaper editorial. And the editorial accused Mr. Trudeau of inappropriately handling the reporter and said the young woman was blatantly disrespected. By the way, update, just 5 minutes before we went on this video, the reporter, who is going to become public, says she does not seek any further action. She just wants people to know what he did. Well, in my opinion, he's a goofball, and hopefully will be replaced with a prime minister with a brain.
Listen to me. Whoever is the public icon, they're all going to be the same.
You listen to me,
No, they're all
because my
the
next
same.
story is going to prove my point.
Yeah.
Okay? Because I know all these people, all right? Now, as we know, Mexico had an election, and Mexico's president-elect says that Trump will be invited to his swearing-in and will work towards striking a deal on economic development and migration. President-elect Andrés Manuel López Obrador won the election by a landslide, and the relationship between Obrador and Trump will be under close scrutiny. And the pledge came after the new leader of Mexico was praised by the American president for his excellent election, despite Trump saying that Mexico was sending rapists to the United States. Well, listen, the United States has sent rapists all over the world. Anyway, and that's not true anyway about Mexico. President Obrador told the press conference that an invitation will be sent to Donald Trump. We are neighboring countries, we have economic trade relations and a bond of friendship. Trump called Mr. Obrador for 30 minutes on this past week, and he said he complimented the new leader's very excellent election and said it was even better than anticipated. That's a clue. The 64-year-old López Obrador, I thought he was much older because I'm only 2 years younger than him and he looks like my father. Anyway, 64 López Obrador wants to broker a deal with Trump under which the United States helps economic development in Mexico and Central America, and Mexico works to reduce migration from their country. That is a very good solution. The reason there's so many immigrants coming illegally is because they have to find work and homes and blah, blah, blah. If they are building up Mexico and Central America and make them economically viable, the people will stay where they were born.
So I'm sure this was the plan right from the beginning.
So the plan is, and I guess more, because I'm going to tell you the more. Because I think that this is part of the start of a North American Union, which I told you about. So they replaced the American president. They replaced the Mexican president. Who's next? Oh, Mr. Trudeau, out the door. Maybe he'll do cartwheels as he's being led out the Parliament building. He's such a goof. Anyway, here's the interesting part. President Obrador, who is the mayor of Mexico City, and formed a connection that could assist him in his relations with America's own president, because guess what? He hired former New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani to help him address Mexico City's crime problem, and we know that Giuliani is Donald Trump's personal attorney. Hello, there's a very close connection there. And he is known to be advising his client on politics. So there you have it, folks. Trump, this is interesting because Trump he actually recalled something this week, that he once told President Obrador that someday he's going to be the president of Mexico, and his prediction turned out to be correct. And that's because it was planned
Right,
all
which is what I
along. And you know what?
always say.
Here, I actually like this plan. I think this is a good plan. Now, before I give you the microphone, which we don't have, just a quick update, because there's information that seismic pressure is building worldwide, because in the last 30 days, there has only been one 6 plus on the Richter scale quake. And if you look at the USGS parameters to 30 days, you look at the 30-day parameters, there's only 4 significant quakes that have come up. One in Vanuatu, one in Guatemala, one in Japan, and one in Oklahoma. So Oklahoma is not okay. And that doesn't mean that other earthquakes haven't occurred, but nothing of importance. Since there's really 0 happening, it can mean that something big is coming and building. And I would recommend that we keep an eye on California, the Pacific Northwest, Japan, New Zealand, South Carolina, here in the Midwest, Portugal, Turkey, and the Caribbean.
It's like the whole world.
Well, it's not the whole world. It's very specific places where things have been locked up for a long time, and the Earth is like standing still and holding its breath, and it's going to...
And that's it. All right, I'll have to scrap my
Hopefully
Obrador
not all at
story.
once all over.
But I did want to bring up about the situation that's going on in Thailand.
Oh, yes.
With the boys that are being, that they're trying to extricate from the cave.
Right.
Now notice there's 12 boys plus one
So
coach,
there's 13. There you go.
And at the time of the writing of this story,
It was 13 days.
13 days underground. Well, of course, we all know that, unfortunately, a former member of Thailand's elite Navy SEAL unit died trying to lay out oxygen for
They
these
don't explain
people.
how he ran out of oxygen.
They say that he was laying tanks under the water
Yes,
of oxygen,
right.
and that he used up all of his oxygen. And
Wouldn't
so,
he know that he
well,
needed...
that's what I'd say as well. That
Something's not there with
perhaps
that
he
story.
saw something or that he wasn't supposed to see. I don't know, because apparently they found him floating unconscious, which doesn't make sense for a Navy SEAL, a well-trained
Wouldn't
Navy
he have
SEAL.
a radio? Wouldn't he have things
Something.
that were emanating from his
Something,
body?
yes.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, so they have a lot of plans to bring the boys out, obviously. But now they're saying that oxygen levels inside the cave are falling.
Well, duh.
And that apparently they have to lay 3 miles of oxygen pipeline to prepare for the group's extraction.
Because it's 2.5 miles into the cave where they were.
So apparently the rescuers some of their plans are teaching the boys to swim and dive, but most of them don't know how to swim. I don't know how
They're just yet little kids.
Yeah,
you know?
11 to 16 years old. I would have a problem as an adult. So it's another plan is to keep the boys inside the cave.
They can't.
And now they're saying that the air in the
could
cave,
flood the whole cave.
well, not only that, but the air in the cave continues to be a source of concern. But
there's no entry. The tunnels are covered in water.
Right.
Air can't come in.
Right. So they're pumping oxygen in. So then apparently they were looking for sinkholes on top of the mountain, and they found 18 of them. But the one that proved the most promising, it said that they gave up. It was impossible.
But why?
No, they didn't say why. They have soldiers from the U.S., Australia, Japan, and the U.K. there, and Elon Musk said that he was going to send a team.
He did today. Sent it.
Okay, so they're there to see if they can help him. But now they're saying that the speed is imperative to get the boys out. So
yes, imminently.
Imminently. So anyway, it's just a story to keep an eye on.
I don't understand why they can't take these drills, so that they make these underground bases and drill. It's only a quarter mile down. They could do that in a couple of hours.
So even maybe they might be worried about the cave falling
Unless they're taking
but
this big drama about it, and they'll get them out at the last second.
But the thing that, as I said, that I keep my eye on right from the beginning is that there are 13 of them.
But Elon Musk had a really good idea. Did you read? He wants to send a long tube that you send through the cave, and then you put the cave, and then after it's through the cave, you fill it with oxygen, and it expands and pushes the water to the sides, and then you can walk out.
Well, let's see what he does.
That was a really cool idea.
But they might do something like that maybe for other planets or other worlds. I mean, there's a reason this is happening.
He's going to become the leader of Mars anyway, right?
Yeah, so let's find out. But anyway, keep your eyes on this story because there's something going on there, and obviously it has something to do with the entire world, so let's find out what happens. All right, then this story I found extremely interesting about African dust coming to Arkansas.
Now that is not even possible.
They said, now this was actually the end of June, and we're of course into the middle of July, but by the time the story was printed, so this is why I want to bring this to your attention, because as I agree with you, it just sounds bizarre to me.
It's not possible.
It's according to this article, it says that dust from the Sahara Desert in northern Africa is being carried by the wind over the Atlantic Ocean.
Which goes in the other direction.
It says the dust cloud is several thousand miles wide and trapped in the middle of the atmosphere between 5,000 to 20,000 feet above sea level. So the further you live towards the Gulf Coast, the more dust will be in your sky.
That's bullshit.
So, baloney.
Yeah.
Which I thought was interesting because I thought, okay, we've heard this before. So I was doing my research back in March, and I think one of us reported on it, that African dust turns snow orange in Eastern Europe.
Yeah, I remember
which
that.
They
but
said,
that is possible.
But it's closer at least. But they
No,
said
because the winds do go in that direction.
they compared what they saw to the surface of Mars. Now, the BBC said that this is a phenomena that only happens once every 5 years, going in that direction.
No.
That's what they said, and they said it's approximately 225 miles from North African coast to Crete, but the Saharan dust can actually travel farther. And in this article back in March, it said even 4,000 miles to reach the U.S., which sounded weird.
No, it's the wrong direction. The winds go in the other direction.
And then in April, this is after in March they said it's a phenomenon. In April, Rome, they say, was covered in Saharan dust.
See, that I can believe. That it can be true.
But they're still saying it doesn't happen very often, and they're saying Rome. Now, I just want to name those Eastern European countries: Russia, Bulgaria, Ukraine, Romania, Moldova.
Fine. That's fine.
Okay. Then it hit Rome, and then it goes on to say that 400 to 700 million tons of dust every year is transported from the Saharan Desert to Northern Europe and the UK in early spring. So we've got one saying Eastern Europe, one saying Northern Europe and UK.
It's because it's just the winds either go north or northeast, and it is possible. But to Arkansas, no.
Right, and that's what they're saying.
Now, when I was younger, we used to have Mexican dust from Mexican snow would come. That, yes, we can have it, but not Sahara.
That's still a long ways to come. But interestingly enough, because we have to look at what's going on in the atmosphere, because blood rain poured down in a freak Russian weather event, which prompted the local people in Norilsk to call it a biblical plague. Now, the official story to explain this was a metals giant named Nornickel said they conducted a probe and established the cause of the incident.
Yeah.
The company claims the rain was caused by a cleanup operation. They had huge quantities of iron oxide, which had been removed from the factory floor and roof in order to improve the environment. Then they gathered up this material, and then a gust of wind blew it over the parking lot.
Well, that could happen.
Okay, so now listen to this next story. The next story has to do with India in the year of 2001. Because in the 2 months between July and September 2001, Kerala, which is a state in India, also had blood rain. Okay, a scientist, a physicist named Godfrey Lewis, who is based in Kerala, analyzed the red raindrops, expecting to find dust particles, but that was not what he found.
Ooh, what did he find?
He said that dust particles do not have this irregular shape that they found because these were transparent. He said the particles in the droplets seem to come alive with some of the characteristics similar to those of blood cells.
Wow.
Then he confirmed they were not blood cells, but something that he had not seen before.
This was in 2001.
And one in India. So this is following all this weird stuff in the atmosphere. This scientist, this physicist, confirmed they were not blood cells, okay? However, the official explanation was given that a meteor had exploded over the area of Kerala, which resulted in the particles becoming merged with the rain. So first of all, we have this thing going on there. Now we have this. We have all this red stuff supposedly from the Saharan desert. Now, this suggests that there was life on the meteor which did not originate from Earth.
Well, maybe it wasn't a meteor.
Dr. Lewis backed up his theory because he said when he subjected some of the cells found in the rain to temperatures exceeding 572 degrees Fahrenheit, the cells replicated.
No.
Yes. It says it was growing at temperatures that would kill other life forms.
This is like a sci-fi movie.
Now, there's a British-based astrophysicist or astrobiologist who added that not only is the alien rain theory plausible, but extremely likely.
Well,
So now we have all this red stuff, in my opinion, tied to some kind of alien thing that they're going to talk about.
they're putting alien blood in the atmosphere.
Well, they're talking about it coming from meteors, they're talking about this dust from the Sahara, they're talking about all these things.
Yeah,
that,
but what creatures would replicate at that temperature?
well, the point is they're starting to say alien life, alien life, alien life. They might find it somewhere else because remember now they're looking for alien life on some of the various moons, like Saturn's moon of Enceladus. They're going to look at Titan, Jupiter's Europa. So they're looking at all these things as well as meteors to find signs of alien life. So now we have this in the blood rain. We have the Saharan desert dust that's supposedly now covering the earth from place to place. So I found that pretty interesting myself. And then, speaking of colonizing and searching, did you know that Amazon boss Jeff Bezos outlined his plan to colonize the moon with his rocket company named Blue Origin in partnership with NASA by the year 2023?
Well, it's not too far away.
Not far away. He said the time has come for humans to return to the moon, but with the goal of staying.
Well, but they've already been. And
So what he wants to do is set up lunar colonies.
Too late.
On the moon's poles, where direct sunlight does not reach certain ice-filled craters. So his idea is to take his company and put the supplies up there in advance.
Too late.
So when people get there, everything's already built.
It already is there.
And NASA now is also admitting that extraterrestrials could be hidden from sight. Because before, they have primarily scanned the signs for atmospheric signs of oxygen, which is a key element in the development of life on Earth. Now they're saying, oh, it could be other things. So they're looking for a wider range of biosignatures. So all of this, to me, is extremely interesting.
Yeah, it is.
So obviously there is going to be more and more exposure. So when people talk about disclosure, it's already being disclosed. It's just you have to figure that one out. So I want to remind people about our healing books, Hyperspace Plus, Healing Archetypes and Symbols, and Hyperspace Helper, which of course we can get all three of those into one envelope. So we have tons of books out there for you to read, and we have lots of things that are coming up. For example, we have
the September class coming and
Right
our
around the
webinars
corner.
all in September.
Yeah.
And also at the very end of September, I'll be doing a class in Tampa again, along in conjunction with the SMOC.
Yeah.
But it's open to the general public. And then tentatively in October could be another lecture in Quito and Istanbul. And then at the end of October, I have been invited to be a speaker at the Stargate to the Cosmos conference in Albuquerque, New Mexico, which I believe is the last weekend in October as well. We'll have more on that as we move forward. And of course, January class, people already signing up for that, and September. And as I mentioned the last few times, the Italy trip in 2019 will probably begin a little later in June, maybe even into July, and will be in conjunction with either Iceland, Armenia, and Bulgaria.
We have lots of possibilities. We might even have to split it up and do 2 trips. We have to figure out what the possibilities are and what needs to happen.
Yeah, and then the other things we can do separately.
Yeah. So
and that's all we have. Again, it's our anniversary. So thank you for all of you who have sent in wishes. That was very kind of you.
Yes.
Again, no gifts were sent, but at least you remembered.
Yeah. 23 years.
Yeah.
Today.
Was that you?
That was me.
Yeah,
23 years today.
And you were the best marriage I ever had. That was
and all your lifelines.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
And we do appreciate those of you who write nice things in on the comments. Thank you very much.
Right.
So we appreciate that, and we appreciate your support of our work. Please like our Facebook pages. Please share our news. Get the word out about expansions.com, because we are invested in helping you learn how to be your own best teacher.
Okay. Well, that's it for now, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.